Hello everyone, today we're going to have a look at how you could create console commands in your project. Cheat codes in GTA is something we all used at some point, but how would you actually go ahead and use something like this in your own game? Or look at Minecraft, which might be even a better example of how console commands are used in games. In order to do this, we will need Unity, Game Creator, and the Tools for Game Creator module. Before we start, I would like to thank all of my Patreon supporters for the absolutely amazing support. Now, before we start setting up our scene, I'm going to show you what I exactly did. So, nothing all too special, but I set up a couple of, console commands, cheat codes, however you want to call them. So I can pull up the list of everything I created, and we have all of the results right here. Now, the first one, let's actually give that a go. So, jump high, and we jump high, just like the name says. We can use crouch, we can use fly, and let me close this one and demonstrate what it is. So yeah, we're kind of flying until infinity pretty much. So yeah, I didn't set up proper controls, we're just flying around. So that's the cool thing with console commands. It's basically creating your own cheat codes, console commands, however you want to call them, and we're doing that using Game Creator's event system. Now, most people will never have used events, and I was definitely one of those people. So we're going to have a look at how we can do this. Now, the tools for Game Creator doesn't add events, but it adds the possibility to actually properly use those events. So let's have a look at how we would set this up. So in order to set this up, we will actually not need that much, and luckily when we go to PFetch Labs and we go to Tools, we have a couple of prefabs ready. Now I'm going to show both, but I'll be focusing on the mini one first, and let me actually drag in the other one first just to show you what it does, but I'll mostly focus on the mini one. Just want to show you what it does. Now I'm going to set up a trigger here. So let's add an empty, let's call it trigger console, and going to add a trigger component, and we're going to use key down, and let's use, I'm actually going to use, well, what is it called? Alpha 1. Now for those of you who don't know, that's the upper line of numbers, so not the keypad ones but the other ones, simply because I don't really use those, saw that in the example, and it's actually a good one. So we're going to use that one. Now I'm going to set up a condition here. I'm going to add a condition right here just to make things a bit easier. Let's remove this one. There we go. And we need a clause. We need two sets of actions. And let's add our tools, and let's do toggle console. So not the mini one, the normal one. I'm going to drag this in, and we're going to turn that on. Now I'm going to copy over this action, I'm going to turn it off, and we're going to add something else, which is just an empty, and let's call this console active. There we go. I'm going to disable that. Now the reason I added this empty is because we're going to use this if condition. So if this game object is active, then we are going to turn these off. So let's do that. And if that object is not active, we're going to turn on the console manager, and we're going to turn on this empty. Now, reason I'm doing that is because this would be an easy check to use the same key input in just one single trigger to turn it on and off again. So that's why I added this empty. Yes, I know you can do it with a bool as well, but honestly this is just faster, so that's why I'm doing this. So we have that. Now I'm going to add the console manager in here just to group everything together, keep it tidy. And let's check our input field here. Well, it's all in there, so that should be good. Going to hit play and we're going to see what happens. So here we have our in-game console. So right now I didn't set up any events, so nothing is really in here. We have our system information though, and this is actually correct. This is my PC, so sneak peek into what I'm actually using. Decent specs, nothing all too spectacular. I'm using this version of Unity, and yeah, all of this is correct. So pretty cool. Use the one key again and it closes. So as you can see, this is a nice easy way to make sure that even if you don't have if conditions for certain actions, you can always mimic that same effect by just adding a empty you can rely on. So good trick. Now this is the main console manager, which is pretty good. I'm actually going to remove it right now and I'm going to use the console mini manager. Now this is actually a new one that was added in one of the latest updates, and personally I think it's something that would be quite a bit more useful for a lot of people to actually use inside of their project and not just use while developing. So with the normal console manager you can check things like your frame rate, performance. There's a lot more you can check. You can check all of the variables you're using, all of the lists, global, local variables. It's really useful for development, but the mini manager is actually something you could use in your actual project, so in your actual game. So let's look at this one. There's one little thing we need to add though, and this is already done by default with the console manager, but for the mini one we just need to add this. So on input field, let's drag in the mini manager and we need to call this one and then it will work. So just a small extra step we need to perform. There we go. Now let's change these conditions and actions to actually match the correct one. There we go. And there we have it. Now you can set the player inactive while we're doing this. I'm not going to do anything of the sort, just going to keep it like this. And let's go ahead. So I'm going to add an empty here, and this empty will be all of our commands. So I'm going to add console commands. There we go. And we're going to add a bunch of triggers here, and this is the trigger we need to use. So as you can see, the ones I set up last time are saved, which is pretty cool actually. I didn't even know that. So that's pretty nice. I'm going to add this again. I'm going to add that again. Let's add all of these actions. We have 1, 2, 3, and let's add a fourth one as well. And there we go. Now, the way you can use this is, well, for example, something like GTA, where it's, sort of cheat codes, or something like in Minecraft, where it's more than just cheat codes. It's something people actually use constantly to manage their game. So I don't know why they're saved there, but that's fine. Let's add jump high. And we're going to go to that action, and obviously that action is still empty. So let's add character jump, and we're going to change the jump force to 20. Now, just to demonstrate what actually happens if you do 100, it's pretty funny. I never really played around with jump force before, and you know, it's... Oh, need to make sure I set this up correctly. Trigger. And yeah, I'm using the wrong actions here. Let me add the correct action. So tool and toggle mini console. There we go. Going to copy paste this one, and there we go. That's better. Let's do this again, and we're hit 1. Now if I press question mark here, you know, it shows my event and jump high. Now my event is something I didn't set up yet. We only set up jump high. So let's add jump high as a command, and let's see what happens. Now I set it to 100, and this is what happens. You jump insanely high, and well, we're even still going higher, I'm pretty sure. And now we're falling down, and that's gonna take a while. So yeah, a jump force of 100 is a bit exaggerated. I don't see how you would ever use this in a game. But at the same time, it's one of those fun type of cheats you can add to your game. It's just pretty fun. So let's remove that one. So we have this first one. I'm going to set it to 20 because, you know, 100 is a bit exaggerated. Now let's set up a second one, which would be teleport. There we go. Let's set up this action as well. I'm going to use teleport here, player, and I don't know. Obviously you can store locations, variables, markers, you can get creative. I'm just going to use this now. And let's add something else to our next action. What could we do? Let's add the fly one. I thought it was pretty funny. It's not really flying actually, but so let's change property of the player, and we change gravity to 0, and we're going to change fall speed to 0 as well. That's pretty fun. And let's add this last one, and let's do a reset here. So we're just going to reset everything. So I'm not sure we actually need to do that, but let's just make sure. That's the wrong one. And change property, max fall speed, and I'm not sure that's the default value. Let's have a look here. Max fall speed is -100, so let's make sure we actually use that. And the default gravity of the player is -9.81, so let's do that as well. And there we go. So let's give these names. So this is reset, and this was fly. Cool. And let's actually give this a go. So opening up the console, and we're going to do, let's do teleport. Oh, I did name it teleport, didn't I? Let's have a look. Oh yeah. And well, teleport doesn't actually seem to do much, or it's simply because it all looks the same. No, that doesn't seem to do much, so I made a mistake with the action. Let's try this one. And yeah, the flying definitely works. Let's close the console and let's see if our reset works. So, and our reset works as well, and we're jumping back down. Pretty cool. Gravity back to normal, all back to normal. So yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a lot you can do with this. Obviously, you're only limited to the commands you create. So you can have these types of commands for everything. I think it's going to be fun to add a couple of these to my open world game. I'm sure there's always people who like to have things like invincibility and, you know, no falling damage, stuff like that. So it's definitely something that I will use for my own project. So just wanted to show you how this works. Obviously, you know, there's so much you can do, but it's all up to the actions you create yourself. But it's a nice look into how events work in Unity as well, and in Game Creator, apologies, and how easy it is to use these with the console manager that you can find in the tools module. So pretty cool. So hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.